All right, guys, this video is going to walk you through lesson 2 in the advanced OnShape class. We will be creating a part that looks like this. This is a sketch of a three-dimensional model, isometric view, and it's got each of the three sketches required to make this part. Each one of them is defined with a different color. All right, so on this sketch, we've got the stuff in blue is sketch 1. So from this, we can tell we're going to be sketching basically a rectangle that's going to be 15 inches wide and 10 inches tall. Or 15 inches wide right here, or 10 inches tall right here. And then when we extrude that, it's going to be extruded by 8 inches thick. So 8-inch thick extrusion there. That'll get us basically a rectangular prism in our model for step 1. Step 2 is going to be creating a sketch on the large face of that rectangular prism, so that we can sketch these two window shapes. All right, so in that view, we would have a dimension here, it's 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall, square. There's 2 of them, and they're spaced to 5 inches apart and 4 inches off the bottom. So that's the sketch we'll be making in step 2 to get those windows cut in. And then it notes that we're going to be cutting those in 4 inches deep. So we'll be doing an extrude command to extrude those 4 inches deep. Cutting material away, removing material. And lastly, sketch 3, which is in green here, is doing kind of this doorway shape on the end of the part. So on the side adjacent to the 2 windows there, like say on the right side of this kind of building looking model, we'll be sketching this rectangle that is 3 inches wide and 7 inches tall, and it's going to be located 2 inches off the right side of the extrusion. And that is going to be extruded 1 inch deep. All right, so this is a fairly simple part that we're going to create in OnShape. I'm going to go ahead and walk through the steps here. So if you need to follow these exactly as I show you here, that's totally fine. You can do that. If you're decent at reading blueprints, you can just pull this sketch up on your screen there and make it so, as Captain Jean-Luc Picard says. So I'm going to switch my screen over here to the OnShape. Okay, I'm going to create a new shape, a new part, a new document. I'm going to call this one Lesson 2 Dimension. And that's, you're going to be sharing this file with me. So I'd like you to name it also Lesson 2 Dimension. I don't know who it belongs to because when you share it with me, I'll see your file name. So I'm going to create this new document. And if you remember when you first go into OnShape, you have a blank infinite canvas here. This is the universe. These are the 3 planes that we can sketch on. Think of these like 3 pieces of paper that we can create a sketch on. So I'm going to go ahead and create sketch 1. That was that 15 by 10 rectangle that's extruded 8 inches deep. I'm going to go ahead and sketch that on the front view. Okay, so I click on sketch. It's asking me what is my sketch plane. I come over and click on the one that is labeled front. Okay, as soon as I do that, it creates sketch 1 here for me. And then just so I'm looking straight into it, I'm going to click on the word front on our view cube. Now I'm looking straight into that piece of paper. So what I'm drawing here is a rectangle. So much easier. I could go to the line command and draw lines out and try to get them exactly right, but it's much, much easier when you know you're going to be drawing something with 4 90-degree corners, a box, to just use that rectangle command. So I'm going to use the rectangle command. I've got it turned on. I can tell it's turned on because it is blue now, and it's waiting for me to click on my 2 points. Now, you can sketch this wherever you want. I'm going to sketch it just kind of out in the open. Just know that if you decided that you wanted to make part of the sketch tie down to this origin point here, it's going to snap, and you may have a different looking sketch than what I've got. All right, so I'm just going to create a sketch like this, keeping that origin point somewhere there in the middle. That's going to help me not snap to anything like the origin there. Which might help me from having to go back and redo something. All right, so there's my rectangle. I didn't care what size it did, but it shows that 3.316 tall and 4.053 tall. I don't really care about those numbers because I'm going to add dimensions on this to make it exactly the 10 by 15, the 10 by 15 shape that I need. So I've got my sketch done there. It's a pretty simple one. I'm going to go to dimension. So dimension is this command over here that kind of looks like a double-headed arrow. I'm going to click on that and turn it on. And I need to add that dimension, the 15-inch wide dimension that's shown on the sketch. There at the bottom of that shape, it says 15-inch sketch 1, and it's going along the bottom. So to do that, I'm going to click one time on that bottom line. See, as I get close to it, it turns orange. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and then move my mouse downward, and it's showing me that I've got a dimension strung there. This is what they call rubber banding. And rubber banding kind of stretches back and forth. It just means that it's waiting for me to place where I want that to be visually. This doesn't affect the model at all, just where do I want it to be seen on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here. Okay, and as soon as I do that, it highlights everything in blue, allowing me to type in a new value. So 15 inches wide. I'm going to type in my 15 and hit enter, and you see what happened there? It got big because I told it to. So if I zoom out a little bit here, you'll see there is my 15-inch wide rectangle. I need another dimension for the height, and according to the sketch, it's 10 inches tall. So I'm still in the dimension command. I click on this one side or the other, doesn't matter which one, and there's my rubber banded dimension. I click to place it, and I go ahead and make it 10, and as soon as I do that, it makes it exactly 10 by 15, which is what I need. So my sketch is done. Green check mark will finish my sketch. Now if I rotate it in space there, I can see my sketched rectangle there. It's dimmed in because it's telling me it's a closed loop, which means I can extrude it, which is the next step here. So I've got my sketch done. I'm going to the extrude command right next to sketch, and I'm going to click inside of my rectangle like that. And it knows I'm trying to extrude it. It's guessing what direction I want to go. I could go this way, the direction the arrow's pointing, or I could turn that arrow the other way, all depending on what I need. Not real critical for this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it pointing up. And then it wants to know the depth. Well, according to the sketch, the depth of it is 8 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and change this over here, this number over here in the box, to 8. And when I hit enter, it updates my model. Okay, so there is my 10 by 15 rectangle with an extrusion thickness of 8 inches thick. I'm good. Green check mark, and step 1 is done. That's my base shape. All right. Step 2 wants me to cut those two kind of window shapes in there. And those are sketched on the front of the first extrusion. Now, if you remember, I chose the front view, and all those planes are still there. But now I've got a face of the model that I actually need to sketch on. I wouldn't want to sketch on the front plane here because that's not actually where I want it to go. Now, so I'm going to sketch on the front over here by clicking on it. So I create a sketch, come over and click on the front of the model, and there's sketch 2. Just like before, I'm going to click on the word front over here on the view cube to snap into it. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of rough in my two rectangles. All right. So again, using that rectangle command, I know that I need a window here. Not worried about placement or size right now. We'll figure all that out later. In fact, I'm purposely going to draw these way different than they need to be when they're done. All right. So there are my two shapes. According to the sketch, sketch 2, it's showing that each one of those window shapes should be 3 inches wide and 4 inches tall. So let me add these dimensions here. 3 inches wide and 4 inches tall. Same over here. That should also be 3 inches wide and 4 inches tall. See how even though I drew it way out of scale there, those dimensions pull it in to be exactly what I need it to be. So I've got the size of those two rectangles dimensioned, but I haven't located them yet. If you look at the sketch there, they should be kind of in line with each other. They shouldn't be catty-cornered like they are, but they should be located 4 inches off the bottom of the block. So from this edge down here, the bottom of the block to the bottom of each window shape should be 4 inches. So I'm still in my dimension command. I'm going to click one time down here on the bottom of the block and come up and click one time on the bottom of my first window shape. Okay, as soon as I do that, it brings up that rubber banded dimension there. It didn't bring up anything until I made my second click. So just be aware that when you are clicking on things to dimension them, you don't want to double click on something accidentally because it kind of ruins the whole command there. So I'm going to hit escape so you can see me do this again. Hit escape to get out of my dimension command. I'll turn it back on, and then down here I dimension from the bottom of the block to the bottom of the square, and I click anywhere to place it, and I make it the 4 inches that sketch is telling me it should be. I'll do the same thing over here on the other one. From here to here should be 4 inches. All right, so we've got them located vertically, but now horizontally they need to be situated too. So according to the sketch, it's saying from the left side of that block, it should be 2 inches to the first window edge. So from this edge of the window to this edge of the block, click to place it, that should be exactly 2 inches. Okay, and hold it over there. And then the spacing in between the windows should be 5. So from those 2 edges right there, that should be 5 inches in between. All right, my sketch looks like the sketch that we're going for here. So I'm going to finish it with a green check mark. There are my sketched window shapes on top of that block. I'm going to extrude. And I've got 2 shapes to extrude at the same time this time. So I'm going to click inside of this one and come over and click on that one too. You can see it's trying to add material though. Okay, we're trying to cut these in to remove material. So up here in the menu, I'm going to click on remove instead of add. And now it knows I'm trying to cut them into the block. All right, the thickness, according to the sketch, is 4 inches deep. So over here in my menu where it's showing the depth, I'm going to change that where it defaulted to 1 inch. I'm going to change that to 4 inches. And there it is, green check mark to finish. There's our 2 window shapes. One more shape to go. On the end, on the right side of the block, as I'm looking at it here, this is what I'm calling the front, top. This is the right side of the block, and this is where the doorway goes, or the doorway shape here. So I'm going to create a sketch on that surface. If I want to create a cut or an extrusion that's going to be cut away starting at that surface, I want to sketch right on that surface. So I'm going to create a sketch on that surface, the plane. Okay, it created a sketch 3. I'm going to click on the word right on the view cube. So I'm kind of looking into the right side of it, and I'm all set up for my sketch. The sketch shows a 3x7 rectangle, and it should be lined up down here on the bottom, what I'm calling the floor here. All right, so I'm going to use that rectangle command again. I'm going to purposely come down and choose a rectangle close to the orange line down here. See when I get close enough to it, it'll light up orange. It might save me adding a dimension if I do it this way. So I'm just going to hit a point right there and then bring it up and give myself that other arbitrary point. Not worried about where it's at right now because dimensions are going to make everything okay in the world. So there's my sketch. Dimension, it says it should be 7 inches tall. So I dimension that left side there to be 7 inches tall, and it should be 3 inches wide. Okay, and it works. So by snapping to the bottom, when I do that rectangle, by snapping down here to this bottom edge, I don't need to locate it vertically. It knows that that bottom edge of the doorway coincides with the bottom edge of the cube. But I do need to locate it left and right, because right now I don't know where it's at located, but according to the sketch, it's telling me that from the right side of the cube, or the block, to the right side of that doorway should be a 2-inch dimension. So I'm going to add a dimension from the right side of the block to the right side of the door, click to place it, and make it exactly 2. All right, there's my doorway. Finish my sketch. And again, this one's going to be using an extrude to cut in, to remove material. So I'm going to use the extrude command, click inside of my doorway shape. It's thinking I want to add material again. So I'm going to tell it I want to remove. Okay, now it knows I'm cutting into it, and it needs to know how deep. And according to the sketch, it says that it should be 1 inch deep, and it actually defaulted to 1. So I'm good on that. Green check mark, and it's done. All right, so that is the exercise. This is what I'm grading for you on lesson 2 here. What you'll do is you'll share this model with me. Come up here, click on share, type in my email address down here. You want to make sure you spell it correctly. I'm not a student, so I don't have an STU in my name. It's just james.gary@franklin.kyschools.us. If you type that in correctly there, just like that, I will get it and I'll be able to access it and grade it. If you don't type it in correctly, I'm not going to get it. So you may have a missing grade going in until we can straighten that out. So just be careful as you type in my email address. Mine is just like yours, but it doesn't have STU in it. All right. You'll click on share, and then I will have your file that I can review. Dimensions are really, really critical when things have to fit together. You think about the real world, things have to fit, they have to be a certain size in order for them to work. So this is a kind of an introductory lesson on dimensioning.